is good? It's your boy Ty back here with another video, and in this video today, guys, we're going to be doing a tier list of the shooting guard position in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM. I tried to basically put all of the hyped up or all of the AMI or above shooting guards on the list, as well as some of the top budget options. So if you don't see a guy on here, it's maybe one of two reasons. One, I maybe forgot them, or two, it's because they are not very good or not that many people run them. So that's just kind of something to think about as we do dive into this shooting guard list. Starting off with Brandon Roy, who I'm going to put in S tier. I'm not here for any Brandon Roy slander. I think when it comes down to complete shooting guards, Brandon Roy is one of the top 3 or 4 in the entire game. I still run him to this day. Release-wise, really solid. Defense-wise, really solid. The only problem with B-Roy, if you want to make a problem, is the fact that he's 6'6". Because, I mean, sure, is that maybe a little undersized? I mean, I guess. I don't have a problem with it. But in the grand scheme of things, sure, there are some taller shooting guards in the game. But I like B-Roy, like his release, like his playmaking ability. And when it comes down to complete shooting guards, you got to think of Brandon Roy pretty highly. Next up, guys, Bruce Bowen. And I don't have a problem with Bruce Bowen as a 3-and-D option. But when it comes down to the top shooting guards in the game, that's where, I think there's maybe a little bit of a problem. Just for the sole fact of, I think there are better shooting guards or more complete shooting guards. Sure, as a 3-and-D guy, Bruce Bowen's fantastic. I think everybody would agree with that. But as far as his playmaking ability, as far as his total badge count, those are the couple of things that I do think holds Bruce Bowen back. Desmond Bane up next. Look, for as much as this card carried me through season 1 of my team, especially in the No Money Spent Squad series, I think there's a limit to how high I can put him, just for the sole fact of he's undersized. His release is on the slower side of things for today's game. I just don't think he can be above C tier. Sure, for collector level, he was fire for, the first day, the first couple of weeks. But there just comes a point where, what once was great no longer is. That is a prime example of Desmond Bane. Devin Booker, I think, is deserving of B tier. I know there's going to be certain people that have him higher, certain people that think Devin Booker is the best shooting guard in the entire game. The one thing I'd encourage you guys to think about is on the defensive end of the court, how good is D-Book? Because I think that's really why I can't go any higher with him. It's because defensively, guys, he is just not good at all. Offensively, might still to this day be the best offensive shooting guard in the entire game. And so for that, if you want to put him at A tier, I don't have a problem with it. I might even move him up. But on the defensive end of the court, he just leaves a lot to be desired. Next up, guys, Dominique Wilkins. This one's a tough one. I feel like if I want to put Dominique at B tier, Devin Booker has to be A tier. So it's just really tough. I just think Dominique Wilkins is more complete than a Bruce Bowen or Desmond Bane type of card. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to go like this. Or honestly, maybe I need to go like this at this point. I mean, we've got a lot of great shooting guards, but we got a lot of budget guys. So for now, I'm going to go like this. Yes, I think Bruce Bowen and Dominique Wilkins at this stage are better than Desmond Bane, just for the sole fact of those guys are going to compete better on the defensive end of the court than D-Bane. I think that's the big picture here that I need to start really looking at. Zach LaVine, some people love him. I'm going B tier. I don't think he's as good offensively as Devin Booker, and defensively they are about the same. I still think Zach LaVine does some good things on the court. I think his release is good. I think his movement's good. I just think side by side compared to a guy like Devin Booker, give me D-Book over Zach LaVine. Luka Doncic up next. Am I crazy for throwing him at D tier? I honestly, genuinely think Desmond Bane is just as good as Luka Doncic. I guess I'll throw him at C tier just because he has a ton of total badges, but I'm not going to lie. I'm just not that high at this stage on Mr. Luka Doncic. I'm just not. He just doesn't do anything on the court. Release is bad. Player mod is bad. I'm glad there's not that many people that locked in for Luka. DeMar DeRozan up next, B tier. He's your perfect B tier card. Now again, I've said it in other videos and I'll say it again. DeRozan's just a weird shooting guard. He has to fit what you want him to do. He is 6'7", has good height, or 6'6" this year. That is a problem. He's only 6'6" instead of 6'7". He's been 6'7" in the past. But I mean, the whole story with DeRozan is this. If you run DeRozan, you got to use him weirdly. He has a great release, low 3-ball, great mid-range. Defensively, he's fine. He's just a weird type of shooting guard in my team. I don't think I can gas him any more than B tier, but I think he's deserving of that right there with a guy like, a guy like Dominic Wilkins. Who's better between them? You can debate it. Eddie Jones up next. I don't think Eddie Jones is horrible. His release this year is, I don't think it's horrible. It's just weird. I think that's the best way to put it. For my man Eddie Jones, his release is just a little different compared to past years. Not quite as smooth, not quite, the top release in my team. Still defensively can make some plays, and this Eddie Jones can play make as well. So, I think C tier is right for him. Raja Bell, probably C tier as well. And I know I don't have anybody in D tier or F tier yet, but quite honestly, I don't think anybody that I've talked about is deserving of those tiers. So for now, I guess, C tier is where I'm going to put Raja Bell, and I have no issues putting him right there. Allen Houston up next. He's going to shoot the ball well, but when it comes to complete shooting guards, I don't love him at all. Our first F tier card, Troydan. And it's crazy, right? Because I got an Amethyst in the cooking set, and Troydan popped out. It could have been somebody way better. This card is a bona fide scrub. He might be the worst Amethyst in the entire game. Like, even when I'm comparing him to all the cards on this list, he might be the worst. I don't know. There's going to be some other cards at F tier. Clyde is, Troydan's just not very good. Clyde's solid. I'm going to throw Clyde in B tier as well. I feel like anybody B tier or higher are cards like I could still use to this day and not hate. Like, I could still use all those cards and be somewhat comfortable with them. Am I saying they're going to be like the best card in the game? No, but I'm basically just saying straightforward that you can use them and just have a ton of success. Clyde, basically right there with Dominic Wilkins. Vince Carter is a tier above them. He's A tier. And so is Dr. J. I do think Dr. J is better than Vince, but I think all those Devin Booker, Julius Erving, Vince, those cards can play at an elite level. Obviously, Dr. J, Vince, even D-Book, they're getting to be, I don't even want to say outdated, but just a little, like, there's just cards passing them, but that's to be expected. All those cards came out, over a month ago? It's just going to naturally happen that we're going to get better and better cards in my team. Mitch Richmond, Money Mitch, here's the tough part. I like Mitch a ton. And I see a lot of good. I just don't know, man. Mitch is either the top of B tier or the low A tier. And I think it's tough because I'm going to put him in B tier. But I feel like I'm doing him a disservice because Money Mitch Richmond can make some plays. He can be kind of a ball handler for you and doesn't play horrible defense. I don't mind Money Mitch at all. Gonna put him at B tier. Marcus Smart, C tier. At this stage, he's a fine budget shooting guard, but that's all he is. A budget shooting guard in my team. C tier is where he belongs. Anything above that, all I can honestly say is you do not know what you're talking about if you have him above a C tier caliber card. Because sure, he's going to play great defense, but we got a lot of guys in 2K at this stage that can play great defense. Dylan Brooks, another great defender. If you are no money spent, C tier is where he belongs. J.R. Smith, C tier. And I know J.R. Smith's an Amethyst, and there's going to be some guys that hype up J.R. Smith. I'm just saying for me specifically, I'm not just going to sit there and hype him up. I just don't see it with the card. And for me, maybe it's his slowish release. Maybe it's the fact that nobody really has JR or uses JR if they have him. C tier is where he belongs. T-Mac, A tier. Honestly, T-Mac's on the verge of going to S tier. He's on the verge because T-Mac's 6'8". He's got a good release, can play better defense than a lot of those cards. I want to put him at S tier, but I do think he is more on the A tier type of level. Like, he's not quite Brandon Roy level, but he is darn near close. Kyle Korver, I'll throw him in B tier. Look, I debate a wall, guys. Kyle Korver in offline modes is absolutely elite. Now, when it comes to online modes, he is still going to struggle defensively. So, really, it comes down to this. In offline modes, Kyle Korver is one of the best shooting guards in the game. Online modes, not quite as good. I think overall, B tier is where he belongs. Michael Jordan up next. He's S tier. And I do not want to hear anybody in the comments, Dr. J, Kyle Korver, anybody's better than Michael Jordan. If you know how to use Michael Jordan, the card is absolutely elite, absolutely fantastic. I've used Michael Jordan on both accounts, and I've had so much success with him. Gordon Hayward up next, A tier. For a collector level card, is he what I wanted? He's fine, but he's not a top 2 or 3 shooting guard in the entire game. And so I think that's the tough part I have with it, right? Gordon Hayward is fine. He can go out there, compete. He's got decent height. He's got a decent release. I just don't love the card. I think his release is on the slower side of things. It's a little baited, and that hurts his value to me. I think A tier is as high as I can go. ISO Joe Johnson up next. I think A tier is where Joe Johnson belongs. Now, with that being said, Could you debate S tier? I think you can. I just don't know how many cards I want to put at S tier, because even I'm just going to do it with a guy like Paul George. He's better than Brandon Roy. He's better than Michael Jordan. And so that's the real tough part about doing this video. Where do you draw the line for who's S tier and who's A tier? The thing about Joe Johnson, I love the card, but his release is baited. It is. It's easy to time, easy to green, but at the end of the day, it's baited. It's hard to get enough space, hard to get enough separation to get it up on a consistent basis, and I think that's really what holds me and Joe Johnson back from being that S tier. Paul George is just, he can do it all. Mikal Bridges, A tier, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. One of the best defensive players in the entire game. I do think his best position is probably that small forward position, just because he can't really play make that well, but I like Mikal. He greens basically every shot you shoot with him. His release is on that slower side of things, though. So, again, when you use Mikal, think about that, know that going into it. If you are going to run the card, be expected, to have to be really open to shoot the ball. Release, I don't want to compare it to Joe Johnson, but speed-wise, you got to be wide open with both of those cards. So that's why I am drawing that comparison with those two cards. Corey Maggette up next. Here's the problem. I think Corey Maggette's a low A tier player. I'm going to put him low A tier. Because, I mean, Corey Maggette can do it all on the court. I mean, is he the best card at A tier? No. And in years past, Corey Maggette would be like your budget guy at A tier. The problem is, he is not budget. He's like 112,000 MT, but I still like the card as an overall guy in my team. Michael Finley, B tier. He's fine. He's going to shoot the ball well, has a high 3 ball. I mean, who really runs Michael Finley? Nobody. Why? Because he costed way more than he should have. Like, that whole set, that whole set, I'm not a fan of, but it is what it is. That takeoff set, it's fine. Steve Smith up next. Oh, man, this is tough. Low A tier. He's got to be low A tier. And here's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to move some guys up. Joe Johnson, S tier. You can't be on this tier. And then when it comes down to it, I mean, is T-Mac the first guy at A tier? I think so. I just think Joe Johnson is better than all these guys. And maybe that's just me hyping him up too much, but I just think he is. I don't know. I don't think he is, though. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to move some players down. I'm going to ultimately move some players down. Okay, let me fill out these lower tiers first. He's F tier. He's F tier. Eamon Thompson, Sapphire is probably D tier right now because he doesn't have a super high 3 ball. Manu is probably C tier. I'm not super high on Manu. It's just hard ranking those top tiers because where do you want to draw the line between S tier and A tier? I think that's just such a tough question when it comes down to it, because even when I look at this, Steve Smith, I love the card, but is he A tier? I don't know. Dan Marley, I think he's going to come in salary cap. He's fine. Good 3 and D option. Eddie Johnson, he's fine. And I think Eddie Johnson's better than Steve Smith. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Steve Smith down. Going to move Vince down. Going to move Corey Maggette down. Now, since I did that, a lot of guys at B tier are going to have to get moved down as well. So who at B tier do I not love? Clyde, Dominique, Bruce Bowen. Those guys are guys I can move down. Michael Finley, Kyle Korver. I'm going to just start moving guys down because, again, I have to find that in-between stage, right, where not too many people are at S tier, but I do respect it enough. And then guys at C tier are going to have to get moved down to Luka. I can move Eddie Jones down. Don't love his release. Marcus Smart is fine. Dylan Brooks. I don't mind Manu. And I think this looks a little bit better. Gonna move D-Bane down as well. I think this just overall looks a little bit better. I had way too many people at A tier and I didn't like it. Now, if you are a big Vince fan, I get it. But at some stage, Vince is gonna get outdated and I think he is on the verge of starting to do so. So I do like this just a little bit more that we have the right guys in place. Chris Morris, with as good as he is, I'm putting him at B tier. I stink with the card. If you watch my Chris Morris gameplay, it was bad. But that's my fault. He's at the same tier Eddie Johnson. There's no questions asked. Are these rewards I want in my team? No. I think the rewards in my team need to be way better in Season 3 and beyond. Otherwise, there's just no incentive for playing the game. But that's where I have him. Buddy Hield, he's going to shoot the ball. I'm going D tier. I don't love the card. Benedict Mathurin, he's fine. He's got a decent player model, player build, decent release. Still think D tier, doesn't play that much defense. Josh Green, he does play defense. Not enough to be ahead of C tier. If you do want a budget shooting guard, Josh Green's fine, though. He's fine. He's going to play defense, going to knock down shots, 6'7" frame. I just don't love his release enough, so I feel like his defense just needs to be more elite. So maybe if the Mavs win their next in-season tournament game, Josh Green will get another Evo. KCP, you're going B tier. Green's every shot, plays good defense. I am a fan of KCP going at B tier in my team. Clay, I'm going to put Clay at B tier. I'm surprised. I was really surprised to see as many people running him in clutch time online as I did. Everybody, I guess, just loves Clay in my team. I have him at B tier. Sam Jones, you stink. You're going D tier. And Wally, at this stage, is going D tier as well. That's going to wrap it up for my tier list. It was really tough to do this. And I honestly, if you guys don't like this tier list, I get it. But let me know down below in the comments. Who is I too high on, too low on? Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.